everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mike Hawley Yoga from the absolutely beautiful Yoga Sanctuary. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through a few things. I'm going to take you through my morning warm-up, which is an excellent warm-up for any yoga series you might want to do, and an excellent warm-up to start your day. And I'm going to show you one of my favorite yoga poses, Parsvottanasana, or intense side stretch. So why don't we start up with the warm-up. Let's extend the legs out in front of you and take a seat. Now what's wonderful about this is, imagine you just got out of bed. You put your coffee on and you came into a room and took this series. Absolutely beautiful way to start the day. And how we're going to start it is with one of the most important parts of our body, our feet. So I'm going to bring my hands behind me. I'm going to straighten my legs out in front of me, tall spine. And then I'm just going to start with some plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, which is just pointing of the toes forward and pulling of the feet back. Nice, let's do that a few more times. Plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. And we'll do two more, right? That's 1 and 2. And then we're going to come back to center. You're going to make these nice circles with your ankles in one direction, further warming up your feet for your day, and pausing, and you're going to make these circles in the other direction. Excellent. Let's pause. Once again, your feet are really important to how your day is going to go. Let's do 2 rounds of toe crunches. So let's go 1 release, 2 release, 3 release, 4 release, 5 release, 6 release, 7 release, 8 and hold. And spread all your toes. Nice, let's do that again. Let's go 1 release, 2 release, 3 release, 4 release, 5 release, 6 release, 7 release, 8 and hold. And spread all your toes. Nice, we're gonna warm our legs up. So you're gonna bend that right knee. Now there's 2 options here. I'm gonna give you option 1, the lighter option on the first side, and I'll give you the more advanced option on the second side. So if you watch this several times or you really dig this and you want to do it on your own, you might decide to take the second option all the time. But the first option, I'm just going to interlace my hands behind my thigh and draw my right knee into my chest. And then I'm going to make just these kind of general slow circles with that right leg to warm up my knee and my leg a little more. And then after, let's say 1 more, I'm going to pause and make these circles in the other direction. And then I'm going to pause. I'm going to grab the outside edge of my foot, outside edge of knee, so I cradle the leg, tall spine. I'm going to flex my foot and draw my thigh in towards my chest. Now, this is enough. Some of you might be able to bring it in a little closer. It's early in the morning if you've decided to take this series on as your morning wake up, so right, a little bit goes a long way. And then I just take my heel and I make some motions in front and in back of that left knee just to warm my leg up a little bit more. I come back to center, and as I come back to center, once again, I have 2 options. I can interlace my hands behind my thigh, and we'll start with that one. And I straighten my leg, and I bend my knee, and I straighten my leg, and I bend my knee, and I go 1 more time, straightening of my leg, and bending the knee, and then I release. I'm going to do that same series on the second side, except I'm going to give you the more advanced option on this side. So the second side, I'm going to take my forearms and lock them behind the thigh. I'm going to draw the thigh in towards the chest, and I just make these circles in one direction, and I pause and I make circles in the other direction. And I pause, I take the outside edge of foot, outside edge of knee, I flex my foot, and I draw my thigh in towards the chest, right? Just trying to get this nice warm-up stretch on the outside of my leg. I come back to center. Oh, we're going to get that heel movement in first. We're going to move that left heel in front and in back of that right knee, so we increase the movement. And then I'm going to come back to center, and the first option was interlacing the hands behind the thigh. The more advanced option is outside edges of foot and straightening and bending. Nice, I'm going to take that 2 more times. Straightening and bending, and just 1 more, straightening and bending. Nice, I'm going to bring the sole of foot to the mat or the floor, sole of foot to mat or floor, and then I'm going to move myself into a neutral tabletop position. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Now, I like the placement of this Because what's going to happen here is the way you're spreading the fingers and evenly pressing the hands into the floor is how I want you when you come into down dog. The other thing is, this is the first time in this practice this morning that we're going to add our breath work into this. So I want a nice full breath in. I want you to feel the lungs inflate. I want oxygen moving all the way up to the tops of the lungs. And then on the exhale, I want you to draw the abdomen in, pushing out as much air as you can. So we really get this nice motion of energy. So what we're going to do here is we're going to roll the shoulders away from the ears. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. We're going to drop the spine. We're going to look up. And then on the exhale, you're going to push the floor away, rounding, 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 rounding. Nice. 2 more of those, right? Inhale, extension, gaze goes up. And then the exhale, you're going to round the spine, tucking the tailbone under, pushing all the air out. Nice, let's do 1 more of those together. Inhale, extension. And exhale, let's round, 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 round. Nice, let's come back to neutral. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our first downward facing dog. Now we're going to walk our hands out a little bit. I'm not using a yoga mat, but if you have your hands on a mat, you'll walk them out kind of close to the top of it. Curling your toes under. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to push back and up to my first downward facing dog. Now, here in this first downward facing dog, I'm going to move my feet back a little. I'm going to make sure my feet are hip distance, my hands are pressing evenly into mat, and I want to continue my warm-up for the morning. So I'm going to bend my right knee and drop my left heel towards the mat. You're going to feel a nice stretch happening on the back of the leg, and you're going to take 2 or 3 breaths. Nice, I'm going to switch that so I bend the opposite knee and straighten the opposite leg so I get that nice warm-up stretch on the outside of the opposite leg. Nice, I'm going to bend both knees. I'm going to send my buttock muscles straight up to the ceiling, simultaneously pushing my hands into the mat and then straightening my legs. So I come into this really nice full downward facing dog. Let's look forward to the front of the mat. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. On the exhale, I'm going to walk my feet between my hands. I'm going to bend my knees and I'm going to slowly roll up 1 vertebrae at a time. So as I come up, I continue my morning warm-up. I'm going to have my feet about hip distance apart. I'm going to take my hands to the top of my shoulders, and I'm just going to make these circles in one direction with my elbows, and then circles in the other direction. Now, I'm going to bring my feet about as wide as you would on the mat, a little over hip distance. I'm going to raise my hands up. I'm going to take my left hand to my right wrist, and I'm just going to pull that wrist over, looking under the tricep, so I get this nice deep stretch along my intercostal muscles. I'm going to take a few nice breaths right into that right lung here to increase that stretch. Nice. 1 more time for me. Let's come back to center. Let's take the opposite wrist with the opposite hand. Let's pull it over. Let's look under the tricep once again, getting this nice deep stretch along the side body intercostal muscles. And you're going to need 2 more breaths. And 1 more. Nice. We come back to center. I bring my hands by my hips. Now, I'm going to widen my feet a little more here. If you had a yoga mat and your yoga mat was lengthwise, you would widen them, I don't know, probably about 3.5, 4 feet apart. I'm going to make sure the pinky side edges of my feet are parallel with the outside edges of the mat. Now, even though it seems like we're coming into wide-legged forward fold, I don't want a big drop in. It's first thing in the morning, right? I just want to warm my legs up and my shoulders up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to interlace my hands behind my back. Now, once I have that, I'm going to draw my shoulders down and away, and I'm going to fold halfway forward. My goal here is to get as much length out of my back muscles, lengthening my back muscles, raising my knuckles towards ceiling, and breathing here. I'm going to take 2 or 3 cycles of breath. All the while, if you're really flexible and you're feeling good, you might decide to draw hard forward a little more, drop in a little more, 2 more breaths. Beautiful. Next inhale brings you all the way back up. You step the feet together, toes and heels touch, hands by hips, palms face forward, Tadasana. And for just a moment, let's close your eyes. Let's notice the breath moving through the nose. And notice how much a simple warm-up can start to change everything. Not only physically, but emotionally. Nice. So why don't we take that pose I was talking about, the second part of this I wanted to show you. Parsvottanasana, or intense side stretch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really suggest, if you're new to yoga, you use 2 blocks, right? Because this is going to make this pose unbelievably accessible. I'm going to use these blocks, and I'm going to show some of you the more advanced version of this. So we're going to set our blocks up towards the top of the mat. Once I'm here, I'm going to step close to the blocks, and I don't know, we'll start with my left foot stepping back. So I'm going to step my left foot back. Now, I have my left foot on a slight angle. I have that front heel almost drawing this imaginary line to my arch, right? So that's the way I like to align myself, front heel to arch in this posture. I'm going to take my hands to my hips, and I'm going to turn my hips to face the front of the mat. So if I was on a yoga mat, or we have these blocks here for directional purposes, turning my hips to face the blocks. Now, once I'm here, the back leg powers into mat, shoulders draw back, I inhale, look up, and as I exhale and come down, I try to take my navel and center it over my right thigh. Hands to blocks, but this is a little too far forward for me, so I'm going to move my blocks in. So now I've entered a pose, which I absolutely love, called intense side stretch. Here in this really kind of level 1 version, I can feel this beautiful stretch on the back of my leg. I relax my shoulders away from my ears, and I want to stay here for about 30 seconds. So I take 5 cycles of breath. Nice slow breath in, nice slow breath out. And I feel comfortable here, and you might want to join me in this. I like closing my eyes. So the only thing I'm focused on for a moment is in-breath, out-breath. Nice. So let's slowly bend that front knee. Let's move the blocks forward, and let's just step forward into kind of this gentle forward fold here. Hands to hips, and we come all the way back up. Nice. So let's take that same thing on the other side. Let's step the right foot back. Once again, we have heel to arch alignment. Once I'm here, again, I'm going to use the blocks, but I'm going to make sure I pull the left hip back so my hips face those blocks, or at least the ASIS points do. Inhale, I look up, shoulders draw away. Exhale, folding into intense side stretch. Once I come down, my hands come to the blocks. Now again, I'm a little bit far forward. I'm a joint on joint kind of stacking guy, so I want my shoulders kind of over my wrists. Once I'm here, shoulders relax, back leg powers in, navel faces thigh, and I take a few nice breaths with my eyes closed. Nice, let's take 3 more of those. Full breath in, lungs inflate. Nice, one more time for me. Take those blocks, let's move them forward. As that happens, you're going to kick that back heel up, step forward, hands to hips, and we come all the way back up. So that is an absolutely kind of level 1 version of that intense side stretch posture, which I absolutely love. I'm going to show you level 2, which is dropping the blocks to a lower level. The lower you drop the blocks, the more intense the posture gets. Eventually, you'll take those blocks and just move them out of the way. So let's say you warmed up here and you want to go a little further. I would drop my blocks, we'll say to the 2nd level, right? So So same posture, and you can do this 3 times with the blocks on the highest level, blocks on this level, dropping blocks down all the way or removing them, and you're going to feel the stretch of the muscle increase, 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 increase. So stepping feet close to blocks. We'll take that first side. We'll step that left foot back, heel to arch alignment. You already know that. Hips face forward. We take a nice full breath in. And on the exhale, I fold over the leg. I place my hands on my blocks. And again, I move my blocks in. Nice. I pull that hip back a little because now I'm really starting to feel this beautiful deep stretch. Shoulders relax. Navel turns towards that right quadricep. And you take a few breaths here. I feel that breath moving nice and evenly, filling my lungs, emptying my lungs. Nice. So once again, I bend that front knee just to take the pressure off that muscle group. I step forward, hands to hips, inhale back up, and I'm just going to move continuously into the second side. I step that right foot back, heel to arch alignment, ASIS points on the hips, face those blocks again. We inhale and look up. The exhale folds me forward. As I come forward, I center my navel over my thigh. I'm a little tighter on my left side, but I still can make it relatively easy to the blocks. Second level, palms on the blocks, hip pulls back, and I breathe. Slow breath in, slow breath out. 3 more cycles of breath like that. Nice. So once again, you're going to bend that front knee, you're going to move the blocks forward, you're going to kick the back heel up, you're going to step forward into a forward fold, hands on hips, inhale brings you all the way back up. Nice. So we can keep going that way, right? I could drop the blocks to the lowest level, I could remove the blocks fully, but what I want to demonstrate here is the upper level version of this. So there is a bind behind the back. There's 2 ways to accomplish this, and what's nice is not only do I get that wonderful stretch of the leg in, but I also add this beautiful stretch of the chest in with this. So let me take it this way. The leg posture and the folding over the legs is exactly the same. We're just going to add the arms on. So the way it goes with the arms is option 1 is opposite elbow. So I'll even show you that, right? I just take opposite elbows. Now, if you're in a yoga class and this is too much for you, I would just take opposite wrists. Remember, if they're offering a bind in the yoga class and this is too much for you, just place the hands on the blocks. Right? So option 1 is opposite elbows. Pretty accessible to most people, I find. Now there's a higher level option. There's reverse prayer, which just makes this that more intense, right? So prayer position with the hands is here. We're going to take that same position with hands behind the back. So I bring my hands behind my back and I take reverse prayer. Now, if you're starting off, you might just get the fingertips together, right? So there's all sorts of levels here. If this is all you can get, pretty phenomenal, right? But I sneak my hands up, I bring my hands together, and I move into posture. So you could stay here, or you could take opposite elbows. Remember, if that is too much, opposite wrist is fine. So I move into position. I'm going to personally take reverse prayer today. So I'm going to move my hands up and move into posture. I step that left foot back, heel to arch alignment. I turn to face my thigh. I take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, I fold forward. Now I'm only going to come halfway down here. I'm going to pull my hip back, face my thigh, my navel towards my thigh, and I'm going to take a few nice breaths. 2 more for me. And 1 more. I come all the way back up. I step that left foot forward, right foot back, moving continuously into this. Now, if you have opposite elbows, You'll switch the cross of the arms so the non-dominant arm is on top. We're going to inhale and look all the way up. The exhale folds us forward once again, moving that navel to face the thigh, lengthen spine, breathing here. And 2 more breaths. Excellent. Inhale brings you up. We step that back foot forward, and now we release opposite elbows or reverse prayer. We shake those arms out. So I'm going to take 1 counter stretch here, or 2 counter stretches. We'll just take 1 and that'll be nice for everybody. Feet are hip distance, and we're going to take something called Parsvottanasana or hand to foot pose. So there's varying degrees of this. I'm going to lift my feet up and place my hands underneath them. Some of you will just get the fingertips under the toes. Some of you will have the toes touch the palms. Some of you will get the toes to tickle the wrists. So we can come in a little more gracefully by bringing our hands to our hips, bending the knees and folding over the thighs. Now, once I'm here, I pick my feet up, and you can notice I can at least get my fingertips under my toes. Some of you might get the toes to tickle the palms. Some of you might have a practice like me and comfortably get the feet all the way on top of the hands. Once I'm here, I'll start to straighten my legs, folding into Parsvottanasana. Now, you might be here. You also might just have the fingertips under the toes and the knees bent. That's phenomenal. But wherever you are, you're going to take a few breaths, folding deeper and deeper over the thighs. I take my hands out from underneath my legs. Hands come back to hips. Inhale brings us all the way back up. Nice. Let's just rest in Tadasana or mountain pose for 1 moment here. Toes and heels touch, hands by hips, palms face forward, fingers spread, eyes closed. Just noticing in breath and out breath. Bring our hands to heart center. Yes, and then I'm just going to come down into a nice seated position here. So that's my morning warm-up, that first part of this series. And the second part, Parsvottanasana, is really an amazing yoga pose where you get a lot of stretch for your money there. So try the morning warm-up, try Parsvottanasana. But the way I love finishing every yoga series is by bringing my hands to heart center. I drop my head in towards my heart. And I say namaste to you and everybody